up and changed it into like a ground ball, kind of sprint out to the ground ball, do a couple. So you get that football element in there as well, because obviously the girls don't really, unlike me, I love running, but not everyone is like that. So I've got to try and keep it interesting, short and sharp, or if we need to do extra loading, we usually do. Well, I love MAS. I'm a big fan of that. So that's something that we've used a fair bit as well.
So you do the MAS, you start off with the 2K. Yeah. Is that you test everyone at the start?
Yeah, we do 2K. I would love to do a yo-yo, but I just think practically, like at Waffle, we don't have a lot of equipment. It would then require a lot of setting up, and some of the girls don't obviously like running, so explaining it would be a bit of a pain in the bum as well. So whereas a 2K, just literally like a couple laps around the oval, happy days, convert all your meters per second and stuff like that to get your score, and then break it down. So obviously you got your longer MAS, 150s or something like that, and then break it down. I usually base it off time and then go from there.
Sure.
So
have you done you obviously might have heard of the 30-15?
Yep.
Have you done that test before?
I have done it. Like we did it at uni last year.
Yeah.
But I've never implemented it. I know Ryan, when he was at SNC coach at Freo, we did it then. Yeah. It worked pretty well. Like I enjoyed doing it, and it definitely transfers across really well. But again, like, you know, you need either a heap of cones or all those poles and stuff to set up. And I remember when we did it at Freo, so many girls got confused. So I just imagine what it would be like. Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, the beep test. It's like, there's more than the beep test. Like, yo-yo, 30-15, like.
I did it. We implemented it this year, a part of our, because one of our biggest things going into the season was like our fitness and all that. So we had we did the 2K test, and then so one of our training sessions was like aerobic session, like an MAS type session, and then our second session was a like 30-15 base intermittent sort of.
I would love to do both, hey, because then you can compare across, because obviously they measure different things. Like the yo-yo is just one big continuous test, whereas 30-15 is probably a lot more specific. Well, it is a lot more specific to footy, a lot like the yo-yo, like stop start, longer durations, higher speed kind of thing. Whereas obviously 2K is just that continuous run.
I have to go back and look at the data again, because the fittest guys still finished at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's always going to be the case, right?
There's a few of the bigger boys, like there's a few of our guys who are like a big hit backs who are generally pretty fit, but that yo-yo killed them because it's just the constant direction. The deceleration just got them. They were just saying all their quads were so sore because of deceleration aspect. But I thought it was a really good implementation. Like it just worked well. The guys kind of put into it a bit, but that, again, you said the hardest part is explaining it. So I got like a big whiteboard out, and the app, you actually download the app and you put it through the big speaker, and they give an instruction, and it's the guy who's giving the instruction has a different accent. Like weird American accents. I think he has a French. He's a German accent, and then it's the guy who's doing it. The actual test is French. That's a French accent. So it's real weird. And the boys are like, what's this accent? Why are they
and then they worry more about that than what's actually going on. So there's different guys who like can hear things and understand it, but there's guys who like to see it visually. So I had a big whiteboard, and I was just like going over how like had it all set up on the whiteboard. And the guy was like, side of line A, and I point to line A. Go run to line C. Like all this sort of. So I was like, the guys are just having a good laugh. But it goes so slow at the beginning anyway. So the guys, you can kind of work it out in the first couple.
The test doesn't really start until like number to 14K now. I'm probably not even then for some guys. We had a couple of guys get to 22. It's
pretty good.
22, which is like flying. I think one of the guys from the Giants got to 21, which is insane.
That's pretty good.
But yeah.
Do you guys, when you've done the yo-yo, do you use the level 2 or the level 1?
I've never done the yo-yo. I want to do the 30-15.
I just want to I mean, I know obviously level 2 is faster.
Yeah.
And I've never done it because they're like, oh, girls can't go that fast. I'm like, well, hold up. But I would love to see.
I think it starts faster.
It starts faster, I'm pretty sure. Would love to see the transfer across, because I don't really know many people that have done it. Like, do you know, does an AFL combine do level 1 or level 2?
For women?
Yeah, for men.
For men, I think it's level 2. Don't quote me on that though.
Heard it here first.
You didn't hear it here first.
Have you guys ever done like a change of direction assessment?
Nah. No time for that.
Yeah. I mean,
can they play football?
Well,
yeah. There's fewer guys who probably need to be a little bit better, but a lot of that comes from strength as well.
That's very true, yeah.
But doing that 30-15 sort of work as well, even when we do our fitness drills, I do up backs, and sometimes we go up back, up again, 3 different changes, and more or less it's more repetition based, so they do get used to it. Or they can figure it out themselves if they need to change fast or have to slow down a little bit quicker. And then the only bad thing about training in summer is a lot of the time is hot and dry.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of difference. even at nights it doesn't get dewy.
No,
so
it's just humid.
But even like last night, it's so dewy. Even the grounds now in the winter, it's so dewy. It's really hard to practice that in the pre-season phase.
Yeah, 100%. Because unless you're going to spray the grass with water, but then it just dries up anyway.
You might get lucky every now and again, but even then, 30-15, I'm really good at that. 2K. Then we just do. I put it in a nice big spreadsheet, break it up over both of them, and then different days, different categorize them into different set like different time zones and work that way. And then sometimes I'll adjust, like if we do a standing start, like if we adjust the times and how many depends on how many change of directions you allow an extra 3.3 of a second. So you might have to take a little bit of distance off and to allow for that decel.
Do you guys always do extra running? So particularly in pre-season, like say they've done a big footy training session, you always do extra running?
Yeah, so usually I'll have set out the whole phase, 4-week phase or whatever. Then I'll send it to Bill, and then Bill kind of work out how many. So I would say I want about 3Ks of footy conditioning. Oh, no, 3Ks of conditioning.
Yep.
And then it's it's a 7K session, 3Ks conditioning,
the rest
and then
is what you want.
And then he does 5Ks of footy.
I agree. I think that's probably the most important part because you can do a 7K footy session, but then it's like, okay, where do you actually yes, you tick your box of the Ks, but you don't actually build on that capacity, which is why you do the extra running, right? To get fitter, build capacity. That's something I'm big on and probably frustrated me a little bit. Not that I was in pre-season at West Coast because I was injured, but we never did extra running, and then I was like,
really,
no, never, because not really my bother anymore. Like the SSC coach that we had was like, oh no, like we did the Ks in footy, and I was like, how do we get fitter then? Like, yes, okay, we're going to have done enough to play footy, but haven't done enough to win games or run out games and just be fitter generally because that's what you need to do, right? Build on that capacity so that the game is then easier because you've done all this extra running, but all we ever did was game. And I was like,
For those small-sided games?
Occasionally, but never once did we do extra conditioning post the training session.
So we have
not even like a fart leg or anything ever.
Interesting. We've done pre-seasons. We do if we play AFL 9s
that's
a lot of time, but we vary it's early on it's like in a small confined space and different rules, and then as it opens up we use 3/4 of the ground and do different sort of stuff, so then they're allowed to kick and all that sort of stuff. You got handball games and that sort of stuff. It's just the hard thing that we've always tried to kind of work out or try to figure out a way is time. Like you're going to go
effectiveness.
If it's 10, we've got to do a 10-minute block, what we're going to do, and then you got guys who actually don't do a lot. Like you can have guys who kind of not that they're lazy or they can kind of get around not doing a lot, you know?
They just don't do probably enough.
Yeah, and there's, you probably have guys who do more.
Yep.
And then that's a balance you got to work out. And then you might have you might have a number set where you're going to have guys on the bench and they're going to, those guys, what's their time?
Sitting there,
There's a lot
do you guys get GPSEs for it?
Yeah, we do. We got about 12.
Okay, that's 12, pretty fair spread.
Yeah.
Decent.
But then
but then who do you decide who you pick to put them on?
Yeah,
you just want them all your fit guys because cool, look at their numbers, and it's like, well, what about the not so fit people? And then
that's the thing. Yeah, and then we might play 4 ground drills or something like that, and then in training, do you map it so that when they have their rest, it's they coming off, and they put them on interchange so their data doesn't get counted as a session, or because because so much happens. You kind of let it go, but then their meters a minute for the session is down. Whereas, so it might be the session might say 100 meters a minute, but actually the time of training would have been higher.
Higher, yep. I suppose that's the beauty of live GPS, right? It's a luxury that it was nice to have at AFL level, and then obviously when you go back to Waffle, we don't even get GPSs at Waffle W. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's a pain
because it'd be really good to have a look at the differences between.
Yeah,
that's been the biggest thing when I was over in Adelaide. We'd always look at the difference between we were looking at. I was looking at the juniors, like our Colts level to our senior group, and then I was trying to have a look because you can like in the AFL app they have their GPS metrics. You can have a look at them there. So I was comparing what our guys were doing to just total
have an understanding
and high speed. Just to kind of have a look at the comparison and to see differences and. Because even Adelaide as well, grounds are more congested, so you don't run as much. Or you do run as much, but you don't cover as high speed. Yeah, because you don't have the room.
Sluggy and that's like same with our youth girls. Like obviously we use most people have a watch on.
Yeah.
So we use Zabbers, which are not very accurate. And it's like, well, if our youth girls want to go out and play league, obviously they train differently.
Exactly.
So they often only do like 3K sessions. It's like, no wonder they blow up when they get to league or AFL level because they've just never been exposed to it, to that sort of Ks.